Imagine closing your eyes and suddenly finding yourself in a place that's impossible to describe in words. A strange light surrounds you, sometimes cold, sometimes warm. There are no sounds, just a quiet hum somewhere inside your head. You feel that this isn't a dream, it's all too real. And in that moment, you realize you're no longer where you were just a second ago. Before you is a long corridor stretching into infinity, or a radiant expanse where there is no time or space. And then, everything changes. You open your eyes, and you're back here in your familiar reality. But a question remains etched in your soul forever. What was that? And what awaits us on the other side? Since the dawn of time, people have asked the same question. What awaits us after our final breath? Legends of the afterlife are found in the myths of Egypt, Greece, China, and many other cultures. But even today, in an age of science and technology, this question remains without a definitive answer. Sometimes, on the brink of life and death, people report experiences that change them forever. Some see a bright light, others feel themselves leaving their bodies. Some hear voices and feel that someone is waiting for them there. February 2006, Hong Kong. In an ICU, amidst the soft hum of machines, lies 42-year-old Anita Morjani. Her body is nearly still. Tumors have invaded every lymph node. Her lungs are compressed. Her skin is covered in painful sores. The doctors have already warned her family. This is the end. By all medical predictions, she is not expected to survive the night. And then reality shifts. Anita feels all the sounds becoming muffled, replaced by an extraordinary sensation of silence. She sees herself, not in a mirror, but from outside her body, lying on the bed, surrounded by doctors, bathed in a layer of white light. The space she finds herself in is unlike a dream or a hallucination. Everything is filled with a soft radiance, as if the light is emanating from everywhere. She claims she met her father and her best friend there, who had died of cancer 3 years earlier. They seemed to impart knowledge to her, that everything that had happened in her life had meaning, and that it wasn't her time to go. When Anita returns to her body, the doctors monitor a stabilization of her vitals. On the 4th day, her tumors have shrunk by nearly 70%. Within 5 weeks, an MRI shows no evidence of cancer. Her case was recorded in medical reports as one of spontaneous remission. But Anita herself is convinced. In that moment, she glimpsed the other side and came back. When Anita Morjani returned from her experience, her perspective on life was forever altered. She spoke of the vividness of the sensations, saying the transition from life into this other experience cannot be fully captured in words. But what do people see on the other side while their bodies are undergoing medical procedures? Can these experiences be dismissed as mere personal perception, or do they have an objective basis? The next case offers us another documented near-death experience to consider. Pam Reynolds, an American woman who experienced clinical death during an extremely complex neurosurgery. In 1991, at age 35, she underwent brain surgery at the Barrow Neurological Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. The surgeon was Dr. Robert Spetzler, a renowned neurosurgeon specializing in complex brain operations. During the surgery, her body was deliberately cooled. Her heart and brain circulation completely stopped. For several minutes, her brain waves were flat, her blood flow ceased. By all formal criteria, Pam was dead. Yet, it was at this precise moment that she experienced a phenomenon that left doctors and researchers baffled. Pam described observing the procedure from above, hearing the specific conversations of the surgeons, the sound of the bone saw, and details of the operating room that were later confirmed by medical records. Furthermore, she experienced a meeting with deceased relatives and described a sensation of diving into icy water as she returned to her body. This case became one of the most famous and thoroughly documented near-death experiences. It attracted the attention of scientists and consciousness researchers, raising profound questions about the nature of life, the limits of human perception, and what might lie beyond our conventional experience. Pam Reynolds' story stunned her doctors. A person with no brain activity was able to accurately describe events in the operating room. But remarkably, Such experiences aren't confined to the sterile walls of hospitals. They also happen where death strikes suddenly, far from science and monitoring equipment. In 2014, in the heart of the Swiss Alps, on the steep slopes of the Bernese Massif, a climber was ascending the near-vertical face of the Eiger Mountain. The slope was icy, covered with a layer of wet snow and loose rock. Every step required absolute concentration. The climber moved carefully, climbing with a rope and carabiner, testing every hold. Suddenly, the rope he was relying on gave way, and the metal carabiner snapped under the tension. The fall was instantaneous. He plunged about 65 feet, tumbling down the slippery, rocky surface. In the air, he felt a terrifying speed and pressure, the cold wind cutting his face, each second stretching into an eternity. He was found hours later by a rescue team. His body lay motionless. His heart wasn't beating, he wasn't breathing. Doctors would later confirm he was clinically dead, believing he wouldn't survive. But in those moments, something incredible happened. The climber reported that his consciousness seemed to separate from his body, floating above the slope. He saw his own body from above, heard the voices of the rescuers, and was able to accurately describe their actions. Details no one expected him to notice. Instead of pain, he felt a strange serenity, lightness, and peace, as if someone was gently guiding him elsewhere. When his heart started beating again, his return to his body was nothing short of a miracle. But the experience left an indelible mark. He claimed that this event forever changed his view on life, death, and the boundaries of human consciousness. For decades, scientists have tried to explain the phenomenon of near-death experiences. There are several leading theories. 1. Cerebral anoxia, oxygen deprivation. When the heart stops, blood flow to the brain ceases. Within seconds, neurons begin to suffer from a lack of oxygen. In such moments, vivid visual phenomena can occur: flashes of light, geometric patterns, or a tunnel effect. This is linked to chaotic activity in the brain's visual cortex. Some researchers even compare these experiences to the hallucinations of pilots losing consciousness under G-forces. However, the question remains: why do many patients describe clear scenes and details that are later corroborated by witnesses? 2. Endorphin release. Other scientists point to the body's chemical defense system. In moments of extreme stress and pain, the brain releases endorphins, morphine-like substances. They reduce fear and physical suffering and can induce feelings of peace, serenity, and even bliss. From this perspective, the light at the end of the tunnel and the sensation of love or absolute calm are biochemical reactions of the brain, an attempt to soften life's final minutes. But then, how do we explain the complex, sequential narratives people recount? 3. The out-of-body illusion. Modern neuroscience has shown that by stimulating specific areas of the brain's temporal lobe, researchers can induce in a person the sensation of having left their body and observing events from above. This phenomenon is well documented in laboratory experiments. This theory explains the classic descriptions of floating above one's body and watching the doctors. But here, too, there are inconsistencies. Many patients have reported facts and observed objects they could not have physically seen from their position, some of which were documented by medical staff. On the surface, science offers logical and coherent explanations. Yet, there remain stories that fall outside the scope of these hypotheses. People describe details that cannot be dismissed as mere brain function. And this leaves the central question open. What is really happening? An illusion of a dying consciousness, or a touch of another reality? We've heard the stories of people who claim to have glimpsed beyond the edge of life. Some saw a light, some heard voices, some experienced a feeling of infinite love. But the question remains: is this a reflection of our brains functioning in a critical moment, or is it contact with another reality? Perhaps the answer lies within each of us. After all, no one knows what awaits us on the other side until we find ourselves there. What do you think? Could it be that death is not the end, but merely the beginning of the journey?